Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. The widow of a fallen Wayzata police officer is sharing her story about the dangers of distracted driving.
1 in 5 crashes in Minnesota is caused by distracted driving. Now, as Eric Nelson reports, a number of police departments in the West Metro are conducting extra enforcement.
Distracted driving has become an epidemic. The roads are full of unfocused drivers, and the consequences can be devastating.
Distracted driving contributes to 59 deaths and 223 serious injuries each year. Distracted driving citations have jumped dramatically.
Last September, Wayzata police officer Bill Matthews became a tragic statistic. Matthews was hit by a distracted driver on U.S. Highway 12 and died, instantly turning his wife SHAWN into a widow and a single parent.
I didn't choose this path, it was chosen for me because of one person's selfish, senseless, careless act.
Horrific examples like this are why West Metro police departments are cracking down. Officers are hoping the Matthews tragedy is a wake-up call and will convince drivers to stay focused.
We can use this extra attention for the greater good if we can persuade just one person to put down their phone or whatever else might be distracting them and simply pay attention.
Robbinsdale Police Sergeant Chris Woodhall was part of the West Metro enforcement team.
I saw a square thing on the steering wheel. I could tell she was using her phone.
It didn't take him long to spot a distracted driver and issue a ticket on I-394.
When I was catching up to her, you could tell her car was all over the road. She was between the dash lines on either side of her lane because she was paying attention to her phone and not driving.
Unfortunately, these are common sights on the road these days, and all it takes is one grave mistake to alter many lives.
I have had to adjust to life without my rock. I've had to put the pursuit of my master's degree on hold and struggle to find a balance between working, parenting, and maintaining our home alone.
I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
Part of the police focus will include drivers who are texting at stoplights. Drivers have actually been caught checking bank statements, trading stocks, and even playing Pokemon Go at stoplights.
Crystal police are notifying residents about a level 3 sex offender moving into the city. Jesse Splitstosser has a history of sexual contact with young boys. Authorities say all of the victims were known to him. The State Department of Corrections says he has served his time and is transitioning back into the community. He plans to relocate to the area of Elmhurst and Dudley Avenues North. According to the Department of Corrections, Crystal police may not direct where the offender chooses to live. A community notification meeting will take place Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Crystal Community Center.
The emerald ash borer is making another unwanted appearance in a local suburb. The State Department of Agriculture confirmed the first infestation in Robbinsdale in a tree along Lilac Drive in the northern part of the city.
So right here we're looking at the serpentine S-shaped galleries that the larvae of emerald ash borer create when they're feeding and maturing into adults.
On the outside of the bark, forester STEPHAN says look closely for the D-shaped exit hole. He says the infestation might not be fatal for this tree if the homeowner applies treatment, and that's what the city is doing for ash trees on city property. Officials say the discovery of emerald ash borer was inevitable, and the sooner you find damage, the better.
You've got to be ahead of the ball on this particular insect. If you wait too long, when you start to see dieback, it's probably too late. So even if it doesn't have any sign of emerald ash borer at this time, it still would be highly recommended to get it on a treatment rotation.
PAPIZ says this is a good time of year to look for emerald ash borer damage because there are no leaves to block the view.
The housing market has changed dramatically since the days of the recession, but even how houses are sold has changed over the last 5 to 10 years. Some realtors using data from social media sites to identify changes to a home that will specifically appeal to the group of people most likely to buy the home. The flooring on this 1991 home in Plymouth will be changed before it goes on the market, and realtors say sellers shouldn't be afraid to sell their home in this market because they're worried they won't be able to find another home.
There's different strategies you can use, but one of them is you can add additional verbiage into a contract to give the seller protection that if they don't find a house or if it takes them a little longer to find their house, they don't have to move out of their house.
Lindahl is offering 2 free sellers workshops on Wednesday in Plymouth, and you can register at sellerworkshop.com. This week we celebrate the impact of volunteer service on our community.
Today, reporter Shannon Slatton showcases an important volunteer force inside North Memorial Health Hospital.
In the hustle that happens every day at North Memorial Health Hospital, there's a special group of people the hospital couldn't do without.
We have over 700 different volunteers that provide thousands of hours of help with our customers here, just providing a better patient and family experience.
When we asked North Memorial which volunteer would be a great one to profile, they couldn't pick just one. Instead, they pointed at this group of young women who volunteer helping out in discharge.
We've got volunteers who do a lot of information sharing, information gathering, moving people from place to place, just providing services that hopefully are meaningful for them as they kind of go through their healthcare journey here.
I just like helping people and doing this, being able to help people.
Today is quiet, but on a busy day,
It's just a lot of phone running and like less runners inside here.
there's not time to stand still.
We all just take turns doing our part, and one person usually runs phones and everyone else kind of just takes turns bringing the wheelchairs up to different destinations.
Many of these young volunteers are donating time as a way to learn more about what it's like to work in the medical field.
I've been able to interact with patients and kind of see how the hospital runs and what goes on.
It's a really nice experience just to see and kind of learn, pick up some skills like communicating and being around people and just being involved in the community.
But the best part, they agree, is when it comes to helping people, seeing the smile on a face when they deliver flowers or when they get to help someone go home.
They talk about their family, and it's really exciting to know more about your patients as you walk down here.
It's not only providing a service for someone else, it also is beneficial for me because I'm providing some, not really therapy, but emotionally, like some support as they're leaving, and it shows that just a little bit of extra comfort.
In Robbinsdale, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
On Monday, one of the volunteers, Muna Bishar, also was surprised to hear that she received a scholarship. The North Memorial Health Foundation gives scholarships to high school seniors who volunteer and are interested in pursuing a degree in the medical field. Still ahead on CCX News, something you may not know about Armstrong High School that's coming up in School Spotlight.
Plus, local schools scramble to reschedule spring sports games after another blast of snow. We'll go through some of the tough decisions.
But first, here we go again. The chance for slushy snow pops up on Wednesday afternoon, but this system will be brief. We'll be right back.
Armstrong High School has something to brag about. The Washington Post says it is one of the most challenging high schools in the nation.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Reporter Shannon Slatton shares more about Armstrong High School in today's School Spotlight.
At Armstrong High School is something for everyone.
The 2,000 students who attend Armstrong High School in Plymouth are tackling challenges head on.
Since I've been here, we've seen a change in the demographics of the building, which reflects the demographics of the community.
Principal David DAHL has been in administration at Armstrong for more than 20 years. In that time, he's seen the population shift to become more diverse. And at the same time, the number of students taking rigorous advanced placement classes increase dramatically.
Last year we gave about 1,400 AP tests, and we're getting really close to having the demographics of the students that take those AP tests reflect the demographics of the building.
Advanced placement is a program that's run by the College Board, which allows high school students to earn college credits and to take rigorous classes as high school students.
Students have access to a growing number of advanced placement classes, and they can earn college credit starting as early as 9th grade.
Our goal is to have the kids take something challenging before they leave Armstrong, and we've had great success with kids feeling like they can move from the regular to the AP without being a huge leap in ability level. You add more dollars in, prices go up. What is that trend called? inflation.
This is an example of an advanced placement U.S. history class,
So if you guys could help me out,
where the focus isn't on dates and names, but rather on concepts and analyzing how themes apply to the world today.
AP classes in general are intended to give a college-level understanding of the subject matter that is being studied. And so it's the same content that they're getting in a regular class with more rigor connected to it, obviously to achieve college standards.
Armstrong students are challenged in extracurricular activities too, with more than 40% being involved in some sort of sport, club, or program.
We pretty much have something for everybody, and if we don't have it, we find a way to find it.
Many programs, like theater, for example, encourage students to develop important communication and team-building skills.
Being a part of a production, they also get to become really close to other students, and I think in this day and age where kids go out to dinner together and sit on their phones and communicate with each other through digital ways, this is a face-to-face communication that's helping them explore their emotions and learning how to communicate that.
Teachers, parents, and students promote an idea called Falcon Pride, and you'll see it around school. It's an idea that this is a place to belong and achieve together.
Armstrong does cater not just to the higher end academic type students, but to all students, and we have something for everyone, and I do believe that the vast majority of students really enjoy attending Armstrong High School.
In Plymouth, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
And still ahead, a local track coach's solution to keeping his team practicing despite the snow that's getting in the way.
But first, the Maple Grove baseball team swings for another trip to the state tournament. We'll hear from the Crimson next in sports with John Jacobson.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. There's an old saying that goes, the game must go on. But for athletes, coaches, and high school athletic directors in Minnesota this spring, the question is, what game? These are not the signs of spring that we are looking for. The spring that was already late to arrive wasn't helped by the 1.5 feet of snow dumped here over the weekend.
I've been here 15 years in this position, and I think it was 5 years ago we had a storm that kind of dumped a little bit on us that took us back a couple weeks setback, and we did some adjusting on schedules, but nothing like what we have been dealt now this weekend.
At Armstrong High School, Patti Weldon is trying to find space for their spring sports teams who play games, meets, and matches on campus. Tennis, baseball, softball, lacrosse, and track and field. Every school, though, is in the same boat. When the games do begin, there are other challenges.
If there's not enough officials available, we just don't have it. You know, the high school league's working with us on downsizing games. We can eliminate the mandatory officials needed per game. So those are all helpful things to us. But as a conference with the Northwest Suburban, we have already decided if you can't get your conference games in, you just can't get them in.
At the Maple Grove Sports Dome next to Maple Grove High School, the District 279 schools have space to share during the day for practices. And starting this week, games. Osseo softball is hosting a doubleheader today.
It's been a godsend for all of our sports to be able to come in here just to get a feel in a bigger space than being in a gym. So it's nice to have this at our use.
While the Maple Grove Dome is great for softball and even lacrosse games, the space is too small for baseball games. And the prospect for playing outside on grass anytime soon is not good, even with the expected warm-up this weekend.
We still need frost to come out of the ground after the snow melts, and then for that to dry. Then we have to work on the field. So softball, baseball, we're still a few weeks out, I think, before we can get a game on those fields.
The bottom line is the regular season will be shortened as everybody tries to make the best of a bad situation.
You know, it's just the cards we were dealt, and that's what happens when you live in Minnesota. And, you know, I'm very fortunate with the crew we're working with here. We're all working together trying to make this thing the best we can.
High school golfers probably have it the worst this year. Schools have no control over when local courses open, and both Patti Weldon and Bill Kwan told us it could be 3 weeks before competition begins. 3 local baseball teams made the past 2 state Class 4A baseball tournaments. Maple Grove is one of those teams. Jay Wilcox previews the Crimson.
It's a good group of ball players returning from a state tournament team at Maple Grove, and they're primed for a good season.
Definitely. Yeah, I think this group of guys can compete, and I think we'll give it a run toward the end of the season. Yep.
Yeah, our goal this year is to get back, because we know last year once we got there, we put up a good fight against Forest Lake in a game we think we should have won. And this year we hope we can get back, because we know on any given day we can come out on top.
While they did lose a couple of key pieces from 2017, Maple Grove has plenty of star power. Pitcher first baseman Jerry Gooley and Nathan Martinson. Shortstop pitcher Hayden Thompson. Third baseman Dylan Peck. Catcher Bennett Lewis. And outfielders Curtis Haugen and Jake Hansen are strong returners. It's a solid lineup.
I'd say the strength of our team has always been mostly fielding and pitching. And in Florida, we actually had a bunch of guys have their bats come out, and so we're looking pretty promising.
The schedule will be compressed for all teams because of the weather. Maple Grove might be hurt less than most because they have plenty of pitching.
So we'll have about 5 or 6 guys that can all throw quality innings, and then we'll lean on some of the younger guys to fill in a couple innings after we kind of go through everyone.
Well, it's definitely going to require a lot of arms to kind of get through the season, but I think that's probably going to be an advantage for us, because right now I think we have a number of guys that could get on the bump for us in a varsity game and do all right.
When the season finally gets going, look for good things from Maple Grove. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Maple Grove did take a team trip to Florida, but that's the extent of the outside work they've been able to do so far. And that is it for sports. Back to you, Mike and Alexandra.
Hope they can get outside soon. Thank you. Up next, making the snow the solution rather than the problem.
And letting outdoor track practice stay outdoors when we come back. And finally, this past weekend's record snowfall hasn't stopped the Plymouth and Sandburg Middle School track team from practicing outdoors.
No, these track athletes swapped their running shoes for snowshoes. And as you can see, the students had to make a few adjustments in order to be able to run in snowshoes. But the team endured what turned out to be a pretty good workout in the snow.
We're really excited with all the snow we're having. It's kind of hard for our track team to practice, so we've got snowshoes out here. We're going to embrace our weather here at Minnesota, get these kids a hard workout on the snow.
Hard workout, right? And it certainly wasn't all fun and games. Students were required to lift their knees through the deep snow to work on their running form. And I think the coach told us that that was probably one of the hardest workouts they're going to have all season.
I love it.
In the snow.
Put it to use,
It looks great.
Yeah.
That'll do it for now. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here again on Wednesday starting at 4 o'clock.